The story of the Exodus, one of the most impactful stories of the Bible. Many have come to know it through an annual airing of Charlton Heston in the Ten Commandments. Nobel laureate Elie Wiesel said, "The story of the Exodus is meant to be a source of wonder. We read it with awe." The story is set to bring wonder and awe to new audiences. With the release of Ridley Scott's Exodus: Gods and Kings, starring Christian Bale as Moses. But what is the truth about the Exodus? Archaeology can help us bridge the gap between story and history. In 1207, ancient Egyptian King Merneptah, the son of Ramses the Great, recorded his encounter with the Israelites in Canaan. Engraved on the Merneptah stele, he writes,
Ashkelon has been brought captive. Gezer has been taken captive. Yanoam in the North Jordan Valley has been seized. Israel has been shorn. Its seed no longer exists.
This Egyptian inscription substantiates the existence of a people called Israel, living in the land of Canaan within 50 years of the Exodus. Exodus 1 verse 8 states, "Now a new king arose of Egypt who did not know Joseph. And that king is believed to have been Ramses the Great, the most celebrated and most powerful Egyptian pharaoh. His mummy can now be seen in the Cairo Museum. Ramses said to his people, 'Behold, the people of the children of Israel are more and mightier than we. Let us deal wisely with them, lest they multiply.' And the Egyptians enslaved the Israelites, afflicting them with harsh labor, making their lives bitter with bondage and servitude. Egyptian tomb paintings depict taskmasters beating the slaves mercilessly. And it came to pass that the Pharaoh gave the order to all his people, that every Hebrew boy that is born you must throw into the Nile. The Pharaoh's daughter went down to the Nile to bathe one day, and found a Hebrew baby boy amongst the reeds in a basket on the banks of the Nile. She took the child in her arms, and he became her son. She named him Moses, saying, 'Because I drew him out of the water.'" Although Moses was raised in the house of the Pharaoh, his compassion lied with his Hebrew brethren. One day he saw an Egyptian beating a Hebrew slave, just as depicted in Egyptian reliefs and tomb paintings. When no one was watching, Moses struck and killed that Egyptian overseer. Moses fled to the land of Midian, where God appeared to him in the form of a burning bush, and instructed him to return to the Pharaoh, so that he may bring his people, the children of Israel, out of Egypt. Moses does as he is instructed. He returns to the Pharaoh and demands that the Israelites be released from slavery.
Unless you set my people free.
The Pharaoh refuses, and out of anger, the Pharaoh becomes even crueler to the Israelite slaves. He tells the taskmasters not to give the slaves straw to make bricks. Let them gather their own straw. but do not reduce the quota of bricks they are to make. In an Egyptian papyrus from 1250 BC, the author writes, "And there are neither men to make bricks nor straw." A leather scroll from the same time period records the brick-making quotas from ancient Egypt. Upa, son of Uriah, quota of 2,000 bricks. 1630 arrived. Deficit 370. The Lord sends Moses and his brother Aaron back to the Pharaoh, again to appeal to the Pharaoh to let the Israelites leave the land of Egypt.
I came to tell you, something is coming that is far beyond my control.
And thus God sent the 10 plagues upon Egypt. And so, each time the Pharaoh refused to free the Israelite people, God sent another plague to ravage the land.
Down by the river, by the boat, where everybody goes to
The world burning!
rises in, down to the river we will run. I see
Moses, you say that you didn't cause all this? Who has been doing this? God.
And finally, God sent the plague of death of the firstborn. God gave the instructions for the children of Israel to mark their doors with lamb's blood. And the blood shall be a sign to me, and the angel of death will pass over your houses, and the plague shall not destroy you when I strike the land of Egypt. And this day shall be kept and commemorated for generations throughout time, and it will be celebrated as the festival of unleavened bread. 800 years after the Exodus, Jews were celebrating the Passover. The evidence lies in a papyrus found in Elephantine, Egypt, which details the instructions for celebrating the Passover, exactly as is written in Exodus chapter 12. From the 15th day to the 21st day of Nisan are 7 days of unleavened bread. The Bible tells us that at midnight the Lord struck down all the firstborn of Egypt, from the firstborn of the Pharaoh to the firstborn of the lowliest prisoner. With that, Pharaoh summoned Moses and said, "Leave my people, you and the Israelites." The Pharaoh released the Israelites. However, after they had fled, he changed his mind, and he pursued the Israelites with armies, horses, and chariots.
We were slaves in Pharaoh's Egypt. We were slaves. And we tell the story about it. And we tell the marvelous story about it, about how a people frees itself from bondage and becomes a people.